And what happens when we close it?
We have no reportable action out of the closed session.
Okay, and we're with item number 6, and I'm asking Elizabeth to introduce item number 6.
Item number 6 is the consideration of the settlement agreement in the El Capitan litigation. It's been provided with the settlement agreement. We have Mr. Beach from BBAK with us, who is our litigation attorney, and Mr. Weston, who are available to answer any questions you may have about the settlement.
We have a motion.
Yes, I would like to move that the board approve the settlement agreement and option to purchase the Almani Canyon LLC and its successor in interest, Almani Golf Club LLC, a California limited liability company, and authorize the general manager or his designee to execute the same.
I'll second. That's been moved and seconded. We have one request to speak. Who?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Louis Tejeda. I'm a customer of the district. I'm also an employee of this district, but right now I'm here as a customer. A couple of questions I have. Number one, what was the appraised value of the property?
That will be discussed.
Pardon?
That will be discussed.
Okay. Number two, what's the appraised value of the sand? And how much has been mined out of the valley already to date as far as the actual dollar amounts go? The other question is, what are the current legal fees for this project to date? And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't the initial issue with the Golf Course Consortium the fact that they weren't paying their rental fees for the lease agreement? And now, I don't know how we went from that to a settlement issue that we're looking at today, because if memory serves me correctly, this issue's come before the board twice before, where our former GM gave a presentation to convince the board to actually sign the property over to the golf course group so they could use that to finance the actual project back in the day. And that was denied twice by this body. And back in April of 2006, there was a study conducted for Helix Water District by Black and Beach that put the cost of the project between $64.1 million and $151.7 million. Subsequent to that, there was other information that was put out that said the sand mining revenues for the project would pay for 30 to 50% of that. That's the profit, not the actual cost, but the profit. So if I'm doing the math correctly, 30% even of 50 or 64 million is 32 million. And if we look at 30% of 151, that's $45 million. It's a far cry from the 8 or 9 million that we're looking at today. And as part of the appraisal, was it looked at as a potential sand mining operation? Because that valley has been designated by the state as a critical sand resource. And my understanding is that the district has done a sand market analysis for this property. So I am not in support of the project. So that's my 2 cents, and I wait for your response on those questions if I could.
Thank you. Would address the questions in general?
Well, I will turn the questions over on the appraised value to Mr. Beach.
First question you asked, yes, there was an appraisal value, it was $9 million. The second question you asked was, what's the value of the sand? The value of the sand is not known. It shifts from per ton value from anything from $10 per ton to $15 to $20 a ton. The amount of sand that can be pulled out is going to be dependent upon the project that's being proposed, and the entitlements that they gain, that's not known. The time that it's going to take in terms of getting those entitlements is not known. It could be in excess of 4 years. My experience has been closer to 10 years for some of the projects that are there. The amount of tons that have been pulled out to date for purposes of the golf course project was in the vicinity of around 500,000 tons. The legal fees are approximately $1 million. The litigation has been going on since 2007, 2008. It's been up to the Court of Appeal once. It's been ready for trial. The trial date was set for August 1st this year. Rental fees, I I think you had a question regarding the rental fees. What was your question on that?
My understanding was the initial legal issue there was the fact that the golf course consortium was not paying the rental fees to the district.
That was one of the issues. One of the other issues was that our contention is that they stopped paying the rents. That caused us to then cross-complain against them. Their contention was that we breached the golf course lease and that we breached the EMA. We disagreed with those particular intentions, and that's why it took us this long to get it done. We had differences of opinion regarding what their positions were, and they likewise had differences of opinion regarding our positions. The Black and Beach study, as I recall, concerned probably Mark can talk more about what the Black and Beach study concerned, but I think that what was being proposed at that particular time was a good idea, but we've now found that the technology would go past it, and that particular use would not be best served for the district, even if you could do it, because it, one, required to use recharged water, and that was going to be provided by Padre Dam, and that never really happened. And bringing in other recharged water from the city was going to be too expensive. And the last question you had was the appraisal. Did the appraisal consider a mining operation? The answer is yes.
My last comment on that would be, could this potentially be viewed as getting public funds if we're selling it for much less than what the potential value of the property?
Sorry, I don't understand that question. Ask it again.
Could it be potentially viewed as gifting of public funds if we're
No.
selling it much less than what the actual value is?
No. First, we're not selling it for less than what it's worth. And then the second part of it is that the settlement of litigation is never considered to be a gift of public funds.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
Mr. Ortiz?
Good afternoon, my name is William Ortiz. I live in Oklahoma. And I just want to bring up that the public in general and the residents in El Monte Valley would like to see the valley be conserved as opposed to industrialized. Maybe Lakeside River Park Conservancy could be one of the entities that could maybe be a part of the restoration or keeping it as it is. As a resident, we love the valley just the way it is. It's been like that for hundreds of years. You go in there, it's like going back in time. You don't find places like that very much anymore. We've had fights in there before, and SDG&E, they came in and put in the power lines and really messed it up. And what we don't want is to see it worse. There's been some valley fever cases as well in the sand there, and sand mining would cause the dust and people to get sick, and so on and so forth. Not to mention that there's protected species in the valley there: blue-gray gnatcatcher, the glossy snake, the east bellied vireo, to mention just a couple. And I know the San Diego River Park Conservancy has purchased land in the area too as well to conserve the natural beauty of the valley. And if you've ever been in there, I know you know what I'm talking about. It's a very beautiful place, very peaceful. We have horse trails there. The community enjoys it very much. And I think with sand mining, it would really ruin the whole ambiance of the valley. It's a very it's a unique corridor. It has a lot of history in it. San Diego Flume once went through there. Community Indians resided in there. There's much artifacts there that still remain to today. Someone told me once that there's still a grave site there where the Kumeyaay are, over on the lower roadside. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, for the community of Lakeside and also San Diego County, is that we would like to see that valley conserved as opposed to industrialized. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Mark, and do you want to go ahead and address the issue of Black Beach? We kind of sketchy.
Yeah, if you want that answer.
Sure.
When the original proposal to create a river restoration project was conceived, one of the first actions we did was we looked at the possibility of using recycled water, reclaimed water, to recharge the groundwater basin, to allow the plant material to be given water that was part of the river restoration project. We proceeded with that study. It then became apparent that it was really dependent on whether Padre Dam was ready to move forward with a treatment plant to create the water supply. They weren't ready, as it turned out. And so what we ultimately did was that if we were to move forward with the river restoration project, we would put in all the infrastructure, and then when Padre Dam was producing water, we could buy it and actually use it as a recharge water supply. And then we began the EIR for that project, and working with the developer, El Capitan, and ultimately and we came to a point where they had decided that they weren't going to go forward with the project, and they filed a lawsuit against the district, and we then proceeded with the REIR work, but ultimately we decided to halt that work as well. So in terms of the recycled water project analysis done by Black Beach, they had done analysis, they had done a variety of evaluations, but as it turned out, that project never proceeded.
Any discussion with the board? Joel?
Yeah, I'd like to go on the record with some of my thoughts about the situation. My first thought is this is not a good deal for the ratepayers and for the district. Second, many of these settlements and deals were cut throughout these years. Third, the LLC has never said what they're going to do, and we continue to cut different deals, cater to them with different options, which they never came through with what they said they were going to do. Fourth, we're selling this land with an unknown value and with an appraisal that is a couple of years old. I think that the best appraisals go by best use, and I think that the best use of this property is not $9 million. Fifth, millions of dollars gone into this in legal fees throughout the years, and staff time, not only legal fees but staff time in and out of these deals that we cut, and just to settle 2 days before trial. I think that's very alarming, and it feels like we're just settling to get out of court. So I'd like to continue to say that I don't think this is a good deal for the district. I've been that way since day one, and I cannot support this.
Anyone else? Kathleen?
I just want to say, I do have some questions and some comments, but I appreciate the comments made by Mr. Tejeda and Mr. Ortiz today, as well as Director Scalzetti. And Helix Water District, we've been put in a horrible predicament. I mean, this has been a project that's had some really great highs with the potential of having a new water supply here in San Diego, and all the publicity that we got, and solving a definite shortage, which it would be great if we were turning on that tap today. However, things just did not work out, and I think now that we're in this litigation and lawsuit, we've spent a lot of time that this settlement is the best way to go. It's my understanding and in review that the appraisal of this property is $9 million, and it does adequately reflect the value of the property today. And we do not have any interest in that property to use it for Helix Water District. So there's no necessary need for us to keep it, since the technology of water reuse could go directly to Lake Jennings. I would like a response from my legal counsel here. As Director Scalzetti mentioned, we've done a lot of different contracts and things haven't worked out the way that we anticipated. And in fact, I have voted no on some of those contracts, which in hindsight. Nonetheless, is the contract settlement today that's been prepared to be signed, is it ironclad that against any further lawsuits and will not be overturned or thrown out in court?
That's always a fun issue. As part of the settlement, the litigation ends. And as soon as we satisfy our requirements for the sale of the surplus property, offering it to the other public agencies and offering it to the right of first refusal to the Conservancy, then dismissals will be filed with the court with prejudice so that the litigation doesn't come back. The documents that we've executed in the past, such as the third amended lease and all the amendments to that lease are ended, they're terminated. The entitlement management agreement will be terminated as soon as we complete the exercise of the right of first refusal. It's refused. And the surplus sale. There's a confidentiality and negotiation agreement which already terminated on the 15th of December 2008. So in response to your question, all those agreements will die. To the extent that El Capitan decides to sue us in some other manner, tough to say, but there's nothing in the past that will bring that forward, and there's nothing in this agreement which will allow them to do that. It's strictly an option to purchase the property. You pay a certain amount of money, and you either exercise or don't exercise that option. We keep and control that property until the option is exercised, and they have 3.5 years within which to do that.
But what if in 3.5 years we get there and they say, well, we need another year? Because you said yourself, sometimes it takes many years to get the mining contracts in place.
That's up to your discretion as a board, but the agreement says 3.5 years, and as of December 1st, 2017, the option ends. If you want to extend the option, either with or without additional compensation, you can do that. But under the agreement, it ends on December 1st, 2017.
There's nothing in the contract that says that we are obligated to renegotiate.
Nothing.
Nothing in the contract that allows them to ask us.
Nothing.
There's no extension provisions.
No extension provisions.
It's 3.5 years, December 1, 2017, unless you as a board agree to do something different in the future.
Okay. Okay. So I want to be clear, it is the advisement, we have spent a lot of money on legal fees and a lot of time to this date. But it is the advisement and the legal opinion of our legal counsel that we accept this settlement.
The settlement is a business decision for the board. The board has decided that it's a good decision to go through with.
So you are not saying that you're giving us advisement to accept the settlement?
But we've discussed with you our position on litigation in closed session, and where we stand on that. The decision to enter into the settlement agreement is a board decision. So we presented you with the settlement agreement, and we discussed with you our position on it in closed session. We provided you that legal advice in closed session.
Right. Well, can you state what you told me then in closed session?
No, we do not have the authority to waive the privilege of closed session as one board member. That would be something that the board as a whole would have to waive. We need to disclose our closed session discussions.
Well, I'm asking you, it is the best of my judgment, legal judgment, and I'm not a lawyer, and, I think it's the best interest of us to take legal counsel's advisement.
Correct, and your legal counsel advisement comes in the realm of closed session. It's not something that I can give you in open session on pending litigation.
So you will not give me a legal opinion stating that you suggest that we accept this settlement.
I think
This is the decision of the board to accept the settlement, and whether or not we get advice to or for or against the settlement, it's our decision.
but let me clarify, if I may, Mr. Chairman, council has given us their very clear legal opinion in closed session. And
That's where I want.
that was very clear to everybody.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I like to have it stated in open session. I just want to ask you the question, is it the legal opinion of our legal counsel to accept this settlement?
And that information has been communicated to the board in closed session and is therefore attorney-client privilege, and so I cannot disclose it in open session. If you'd like to go back to the closed session, we can reconvene the closed session and have that discussion.
You've already said that you supported the idea, so I don't know why you were bringing this issue up.
I support the idea based on,
Information that was given you in the closed session. I'd like to move along.
I know, but I made it very clear when we were in closed session that I was going to be asking you this question. And you told me that you were okay with me asking the questions.
Again, I cannot disclose a conversation from the closed session. I don't have the legal authority to do that. The board would have to waive privilege. What I can tell you is that Mr. Beach has presented his recommendations to you.
Okay, his recommendations, okay.
In closed session, he's presented you his recommendations on the settlement and on the litigation. You have the settlement before you with the recommendation of staff to approve it.
Why can't you mention your recommendation in open session as my legal counsel? I think you asked for, I've asked opinions before on other issues and questions.
Right, and I guess my answer to you would be that the settlement agreement is a business decision. We provided you the pros and cons.
But it's not a business decision. This is not a business decision. This is a legal issue that we've been into.
Correct, which we've discussed in closed session.
Wow.
If you're not satisfied with the explanation that is given to you, then
Yeah.
vote no on the
Okay. Unfortunately, I guess so, since I can't get BB&K, our legal counsel, to give us advisement that this is a settlement that we should support.
Again,
A legal
we
opinion.
gave you our pros and cons to the settlement and to the litigation in closed session. So I believe you have that information.
I don't have it in writing. Would you be willing to put it in writing then?
Sure, we'd be happy to provide the board with a confidential memo.
Okay.
Litigation, I can do that for you. I
Okay,
can't
there you go.
disclose closed session.
No, I
in open
understand.
session.
Okay, I understand. I did not understand this was going to be an issue or concern. But yes, if you could give me a legal opinion, confidential, that we will have in Helix's records somewhere, because that's the main thing that I want, is something on record, what our legal opinion was. And if that's the case, then I'm good. Okay.
John, do you have any comments before we move on?
Mr. Chairman, may I just want to be clear. We can reconvene in closed session and she can restate. And
Oh,
Mr.
no,
restate.
she stated it before in closed session, that it was there.
She wasn't making.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you have that option. You know you have that option.
Right, well, and she said she'll write it down and give it to us later.
Yeah, I can do that.
So, thank you.
As long as we keep, it's keeping the confidentiality is my concern. All
It's-
legal advice to you, we can do that.
Okay. Well,
And I can do that in confidential memo to you.
okay. And it would be based on our conversations that we had.
Yes.
Do you have any comments?
I have some comments. I just want to say that, you know, it has been many, many years that we've been working on this, and I think that we are very fortunate that things happened the way they did in some, under the circumstances, because it's kind of turned out a good thing that we didn't do the Amani Valley project, because now we have the opportunity to do direct potable use, which is a better way of creating a new water supply for the district rather than, so I think it's kind of fortunate that some of the things happened the way they did, because in the end, this is the best deal for the district. forward with our direct potable reuse, and we're going to end the lawsuit when all the unknowns are behind us. And I think it's a great deal, and I'm all for it. And I want to thank you, our attorneys, for a great job you've done, and for Mark for hanging in there all this time, and for staff for all the work that you've done and putting all this together. I know it wasn't easy, and it's been a long battle to get this to this point. And so I'm happy to move forward and have the $9 million. And that will be a great benefit to our ratepayers.
Okay, one more comment, Joel?
Yeah, I just wanted to restate that even if this lawsuit is dropped now, in 3 years, they could bring up another lawsuit saying that they didn't get to do what they needed to do because of this or that, and file a lawsuit and hold up this 3 years. That is all possible, and it's going to happen.
Well, anything's possible in terms of people being able to sue you for various reasons, but an option to purchase is a very narrow agreement, which is you pay $1 million and you have the ability to exercise that option within 3.5 years. There's nothing the district has to do, and there's nothing the district could do within that 3 years to pull that option back. And the only trigger to it is they need to tender the $8 million to the district, and at that particular time, we would work out the transfer of the property. I don't see any issues that would come forward, but then again, my crystal ball has gotten kind of old.
But previously, we've gone into these exact type of settlements or deals. They didn't come up with the money, and we're right back at it again. Millions of dollars later, we're just back at the same thing again.
There's
With
no
the
doubt.
same people.
No doubt about that. It's taken us a long time to get here. And part of it was that they have now come forward with a check of $1 million that's been deposited in the district's accounts. That was one of the agreements that we had. Nothing happens to that particular property until they transfer another $8 million to us. If they don't do it, the property stays in the district's hands. If they do it, then we're going to go through with a transaction that accomplishes what it is. They have a long way to go in terms of getting the necessary permits, SMAR permit, major use permit, EIR, 1603 permit, 404 permit. All those permits need to be gathered. They're going to require many public hearings, and various comments and reports are going to have to be made before they get to whatever proposal that they're going to do. It's also going to have the blessing of River Conservancy for whatever purpose they're going to have out there. Plus, the community is going to get more than enough time to opt in and weigh in with their opinions.
So, at the end of the 3 years, if they don't do what they say they're going to do, which is bring the $8 million, they get their money back?
No. We keep the $1 million, and if they don't post the $8 million to us, we keep the property. The only thing that occurs is the $8 million becomes non-refundable after we go through the right of first refusal with the Conservancy and they do not exercise it. And we have sent the letters to the various agencies that can purchase the property under the surplus sales agreement. So as soon as that occurs, the dismissals are filed with the lawsuit, the $1 million becomes non-refundable, and then the only thing that's left is if they want the property, they must tender the $8 million to the district.
And that is the LLC. It's not LLC or assignee.
Our agreement is with the El Capitan LLC only,
With no assignees.
no assignees.
I'd like to make a comment before we vote. To me, the settlement agreement is very straightforward. Trying to complicate it with questions that may or may not ever transpire is a waste of time. In the event that the El Capitan LLC does not come forward, we get the property back, start the process over again. We've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, and I would recommend that we vote on the issue.
At the work
One more question, please.
Comment. I just wanted to suggest that we bring back, if this does go through, that we talk about where that $1 million and the future $8 million goes, that we consider that on a future agenda, that it doesn't just go into the general fund, that this money goes back to the ratepayers, as well as a follow-up comment to Mr. Ortiz's concern. I definitely hope that the people who take this project over do work with the valley out there, work with the Conservancy. I know they are interested in doing the right thing, and I hope they do the right thing out there to the valley residents.
John?
I hope this is the last comment. I concur with what you said, and I want to thank Mark Weston, who's a retired general manager, who has agreed to stay on with his 15 years of experience in this issue. Very important. Thank you for that. Because Mark is also very busy at the Water Authority. So he's taking the time out to help us get to this point. Here's the best part in my mind. We can get back to the water business. Get this off the table. Thank you.
Elizabeth?
Sorry, Director Linden, I can't let you be the last comment. One more thing to say. Once the board acts on this, if it's approved, it'll be executed, and then the settlement agreement will become public, along with the option to purchase. The appraisal will remain confidential until the litigation is actually dismissed. So we'll have some documents available to the public if they have an interest in it once it's executed.
And the reason the appraisal is held confidential?
Because it was done part of the litigation, and because the litigation doesn't get dismissed until we complete the surplus property process, it stays confidential until we complete that process. The dismissals are filed with the court, and then after that, the appraisal will become public. It's just during this pending litigation dismissal part that it remains confidential.
Okay, I call for a roll call vote, please.
Director Scalzetti?
No.
Director Hedberg?
Yes.
Director Linden?
Yes.
Vice President Burback?
Yes.
President Muse?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you all for the discussion. We'll move right along to item number 7, which is the board adopt an amended list of surplus real property and authorize the general manager or his designee to undertake all acts to effectuate the sale of the surplus property, including offering the San Diego River Conservancy the first right of refusal to acquire the property pursuant to Government Code Section 32646, and send the notice of availability to appropriate entities pursuant to Government Code 54222.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, we've gone over this process a number of times. It's very detailed, and the report very detailed, and spells it out very clearly. Steve is here if the board would like any additional questions. We could go through the process again if the board wishes, or Steve is available, or I'm available, and attorneys are available here to answer your questions.
Do you have anything to add other than the board report?
Not necessarily. Bruce has alluded to the surplus property process.
Any questions, Steve? Can I entertain a motion on item 7?
I'll second that.
Have a roll call vote, please.
Director Scalzetti?
No.
Director Hedberg?
Yes.
Director Linden?
Yes.
Vice President Muse?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, President Muse?
Yes.
Vice President Burback?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 8 is the board authorizes the general manager to execute an agreement for professional services between Helix Water District and Helix Financial Consultants in the amount of $99,773 for the cost of service study and an optional water budget analysis. And Lisa, no, she's not here. Okay. I got Jennifer.
Good afternoon. We're pleased to present our recommendation of Rapatella's Financial Consultants to perform the district's cost of service study. The study will include a review of the district's existing water rates and charges and provide recommendations. We initially issued our cost of service RFPs